From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 261 of From the Middle. We are three middle class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. And sometimes our points of view cover all different kinds of topics, which is a ton of fun. Kendall had an interesting convention happening at his Pittsburgh stay. We did talk a little bit about Pittsburgh sports, more so mascots and colors, a little bit about 4th of July. We talked a little bit about college football, some pizza on the way to Pittsburgh, and some of the things that we're streaming on the back end. We cover a bunch of topics, but we have a bunch of fun. Make sure to check out Artius Man for that promo at the end of the episode. They're great partners of ours, and you're going to love this one. Check it out.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
All right, guys. So here's the deal. My family and I are in a Hyatt hotel. We checked in on Sunday. And Sunday afternoon. And we pull around to the little pull around section. Amy gets out to go check in. And I'm just hanging out there in the van. And out of the front door comes a dude with a tail. And instead of asking Dad, what's that? Or what's that dude with the tail? I'm thinking I'm getting away with something here because they just start talking about what kind of tail it must be. I'm like, all right, I appreciate this conversation. But then also while we're sitting there, we see a couple more tails come walking across the street with badges. And right now, well, not right now, thankfully, in Pittsburgh, there was a furry convention. I was worried that because they were all over the Hyatt Hotel. And so I had to field some questions from the kids. And the whole time I'm just hoping, I'm paying attention to whether people are checking in or checking out, trying to figure out, are these people just getting here because it's this week? Or are they leaving? The answer is they're leaving, which is good. Which means the pool doesn't have any fur in it, and the breakfast is clean.
There's no scat around the tables.
There's no scat around the tables. Oh my goodness! So
hey, don't worry, go furry. You know, that's what I hear.
Oh gosh! And so now my kids are asking questions about this, and like I'm being honest with them as much as I can. At some point I have to tell them, listen, there's some things that I just don't think that kids are prepared to know what's going on, and don't grow up to be these people. That's the takeaway. I think I said something to that effect. Like, don't think it's cute and it's something that you want to do. Don't think that.
I thought you were going to say, no, they're checking in. And kids, it's time that your mother and I tell you that we have this little hobby on the side.
I mean,
so far,
you've probably missed a lot of the new Star Wars stuff. You probably could have said, maybe it's a Star Wars convention and just left it at that.
Maybe I could have. But the questions keep coming. And now that they're gone, like the questions are still coming up every once in a while. Like they are legitimately curious, rightfully so, about what this thing is going on. And Amy's like, and I've been right there with her blissfully of like, there are some subcultures that like I'm generally curious about people and cultures. There's some that I just don't want to know anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ventriloquism or like barbershop, right? This isn't like a documentary that most people could sit and watch.
Yeah, so like I verified some things and found out that yep, I don't like this whatsoever. I have some moral problems with what's going on here, and some deep moral problems about what's going on here. They're further down the rabbit hole. And that was not, I just realized what came out of my mouth.
I thought that was on purpose.
No, it was
You
not.
never know with Kendall. Further down the
not.
rabbit hole we
You're
go.
literally saying you don't want to learn more.
But last night, the family, I tried to go to bed with the family, which last night was like 9 o'clock, which is still late for the kids, but still way early for me. And I fell asleep, woke up at about 11, which is still a little bit before when I normally would go to bed. And I normally wake up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere around there. So I still get a full night's sleep. But last night I woke up and I, in effect, just took a nap, a 2-hour nap right before my bedtime. And so now my mind's racing. And now, like, Amy wasn't sure what and I wanted to verify, like, maybe I'm giving these people not a fair shake. And so I start doing some research. I found the convention website. Yep, that's the one. That's the website that I looked at. I looked at the event schedule, and oh my gosh, just looking at the event schedule, just looking at titles alone, there is plenty of like 18 and over only stuff at night. And I clicked on some of those, and then there was some terminology like a vor furryism that I had no idea what that was. And so then like I start Googling that, and all the time asking Google for forgiveness. And like that got really weird and really disturbing. It's yeah, don't let your kids get into this, guys. That's
I'm just waiting for a fox head to just slowly make its way up that window behind you.
I keep looking around the lobby just to make sure there's no strays.
I mean, when you were starting down the couldn't get to sleep thing, I was going to say you camp a lot. You should be used to animal noises, but but that's a whole other level. And look, for anyone who says we might be being harsh, we kind of make fun of everything here. If anyone feels like that's harsh, but it's certainly an interesting observation, and I don't know how I would have explained that to my 6-year-old. So maybe there's a Star Wars convention.
Yeah,
probably.
I ultimately didn't. Didn't. I just told them the truth about how I don't want to tell them, and I don't think they should know.
I'm a curious critter, and I still have a personal goal to one day interview a furry. But Kendall, we just won't invite you to that episode. And
it would be so hard for me to back off. I mean, I would do it, but it probably wouldn't end friendly. We'll leave it at that, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. We know how those felines and furries spent their 4th of July festivities. That's a little alliteration for you. Other than hanging out with those folks, what did you guys get up to this past week? Did you guys have a good 4th? See any fireworks? Furry works?
Go ahead, Dillon.
Well, Corey and I were in, we had overlapping activities. For anyone tuning in, we're brothers. So we have the same family. And Corey was just up visiting our family a little bit longer, and for us a little bit shorter. I had to work most of last week. We had a good time. I feel like anytime I can spend a lot of quality time visiting with folks I don't see very often and get to eat cheeseburgers, I'm a happy guy. And I did both of those things. So we had fun that. We got to see some local fireworks before we visited family, which were great. And our daughter made a little friend who was in the parking lot with his family, and he was 4. And we found out he had a fun name, as his parents or grown-ups were calling him. They said, "Bruce Wayne, get over here." And so Finley made friends with 4-year-old Batman while we were watching fireworks, which was a good time. And Corey, you look concerned.
Not concerned, like Bruce Wayne, or was his first name Bruce Wayne?
No, I'm guessing it's like most people do their, they middle name somebody. So it would be like Corey Wayne. I think this was like Bruce, first name Wayne, middle name, if I'm guessing.
Or he was in trouble the whole time.
Not in trouble. Just
Okay.
he came over to our car to be friendly, and the grown-ups had to keep calling him back. So he was a fun little guy. And we had a nice time. So lots of family, lots of visiting, lots of cheeseburgers, and no complaints. Oh, and our mom also put in a pool, so we swam a lot, which was a ton of fun. So that's what I was up to, most of that overlapping with Corey. Plus, you did some camping and had a few extra days.
Yeah. So for those who don't remember last year, we had the idea after Dillon and I lost our grandma 2 summers ago. The first summer without her on that side of the family, we said, what if we just do like a family reunion of sorts and a remembrance of grandma and hang out, and we'll just all be together and circle around newly alone grandpa on his property. So it was a great opportunity for us to all be together at grandpa's place, do a little remembrance of grandma, but just have a good time for the 4th. The 4th fell midweek that year. So we assumed that most people had a few days off, or we're going to take a couple of those days off, and it worked really well. The original idea was, hey, bring your campers, bring your tents, bring your hammocks, come and go as you please. Most of them are centrally located up there. So they're only 5, 10, 15 minutes away from one another. We're kind of the ones that are further away. But it was just a good excuse to be centrally located for the week. Do some fishing, do some swimming in Grandpa's pond, do some primitive camping, all kinds of stuff like that. So it was such a hit last year that we did it again. We shortened it by a day. And then in addition to, as Dillon just mentioned, our Christmas present from our mom was a really, really nice in-ground pool and hot tub for us to enjoy, and an excuse for us to go visit her more often. So we kind of split time between Grandpa's pond and our mom's pool. It was a ton of fun. It was a potluck every night. Every household had a different responsibility for dinner each night. Breakfast and lunch was on your own. But yes, I got to do some primitive camping in my hammock. I think 4 nights. The weather was so inconsistent, Kendall, you would appreciate as a camper and sometimes tent guy. 56 degrees one night, right at that edge of like, am I a little bit chilly? I can't really tell. And it was just like perfect. And then another night, it was in the 90s with 90% humidity and no wind. And it just, not 90s at night, but really hot at night and just unbearable. Like, pull your shirt off of you. Just unbearable. And still woke up that following morning and made breakfast over a fire in that stupid humidity. But just shed the shirt and just jumped into the pond a mere feet away from where breakfast was being cooked. So it was that little taste of like roughing it, primitive camping. You go from Hawaii to Denver to London, and you're like, you know what I want? Nothing to do with corporate offices, airplanes, and hotels. And I just want to put a hammock between 2 trees and sleep out under the stars. With nature sounds of furries in the background. So that was pretty great. Just a really good time with family. But I got to tell you guys, I've been trying it. So I turned 40 in just over a month. And like over a year ago, I created this big, hairy, audacious goal of a certain weight loss by my birthday. And I've been doing really, really good. I've been not as fast as I would like, but I've been doing pretty good towards my goal. What really accelerated that was helping a dear friend of mine put in an above ground pool in the 90, whatever, high 80, low 90 degree days we had last week, 2 weeks ago. I've been hitting numbers that I haven't seen in over 10 years. So I was like, this is great. But tell you what ruined it, potlucking with my family for 5 days. Because I didn't hold back and I ate as much as I wanted. We had a lot of good quality time, a lot of laughter, a lot of good food. And now the goal is to try to undo the 8 pounds that I just tacked on hanging out with my family for all those nights in a row. So that's
Yeah.
what's up over here.
Just go out and mow and do some yard work for the next few days, and
Well,
that'll
that's
come
what our
right off.
That's what our stepdad said. He goes, you just need more above ground pools to put in. And after putting in that, so I did one myself. I helped loyal middler Drew, who has called into the show before. And I helped my buddy do this third one. And I told Sherry, you know what? No matter who asks, no matter how much I love them, that was my last above ground pool install. He had about 12 to 14 inches of fall from one end of where he wanted to put the pool to the other. He did most of the digging, but there was still a ton of clay to remove. There's no topsoil. There's no good dirt. It's just pure clay here in our suburb. And trying to get the ground level and do it inside of 2 days so that he could take his family on vacation. It was a ambitious goal, but he had the goal of, we want to be filling this thing with water by the time I leave for vacation. And we made it happen. But woo, it was brutal. 8 to 10 hour days, just dripping sweat. But yeah, it's really good for the weight loss plan.
Now you just need to camp outside in 90-degree humidity again.
Exactly. Just wring out the hammock.
Yeah. Just wring out the hammock and force yourself to stay in your backyard.
Oof. So anyway, that's kind of what we got up to. A lot of rain on the 4th where we were, so we didn't see a ton of fireworks. But just a really good time. And I think it's going to something we're going to, a tradition we're going to keep going, and maybe modify each year with the feedback that we get. But yeah, it's been going good. It's a fun little thing. How about you, buddy? What'd you get up to for the 4th?
Well, so if you remember from last week's episode, I had a bit of a sore throat, which turned into a strep-like thing of nonsense that pretty much took me out for the week. And so I didn't go with my family to see fireworks, though Amy tried to get out of doing it. She had the butterfly exhibit at the local conservatory was going on, and this was the last week for it. So like I tried to talk the kids into that for her. They weren't having it. So fireworks it was, and then conservatory the next day, really, along with parade the next day. So the fireworks were on the 3rd, and parade was on the 4th. And
they decided to not participate after the run through.
They did not participate in the parade. They just simply attended the parade and then went to the conservatory after the parade.
Got it.
So that was good. That was good. They had fun. I had fun too. Just I wasn't with them for those things.
Back to 100%. Over the.
Oh, I'm back. I'm back.
Right.
I'm 100% now.
Hey, did you get or have you guys ever used those inhalers with like the medicine in them?
Yeah.
That feels like you're just like sucking in a bunch of instant mashed potatoes, doesn't it? Just like a bunch of the flaky, powdery. Have you ever had that where it's like the medicine hits the back of your throat?
Somebody gave you something. Somebody gave you something different, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about a throat spray.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
okay.
So weird.
I was gonna say inhalers, dude. I have like a collection of inhalers.
Yeah, I've never done an inhaler, but I had a thing. I had bronchitis once, and I got one of the inhaler things with like the medicine in it, and it like hits the back of your throat. It feels like a light, dusty something just smacks the back of your throat. It's bizarre. So weird.
Like fake mashed potatoes.
Yeah, like you just chucked a bunch of.
You can feel it mixing
powder. Yeah, you just right in the back there. No, just me. Okay. Thought I'd ask.
Well, I know Kendall's in Pittsburgh, and I appreciate his hat. And I was asking him if he had Primanti Brothers before we clicked record. He said he's not a fan of the fries on sandwich. We won't hold that against him, but he did get up to one and introduce it to the family. So I appreciate that. You got to do Primanti Brothers when you're in town.
We did that. We did the. So our hotel this is beautiful. We're right near the PNC Park where the Pittsburgh Pirates play. And we went to a game this afternoon, which was so much fun. And home team ended up winning, which is what I always root for. And the hotel is like literally a block away. It's nice to go to a sporting event like that and not have to walk to a parking garage afterward. That was beautiful. We're also near the Duquesne lift
Incline, yeah.
incline. That's what it's called. And so we did that yesterday and took that up to dinner. So then we had dinner at the top of the hill. And I tell you what, like that was the Steel Mill Saloon, I believe is what it was called. Fantastic, fun little bar with a creative menu. And I ordered some Reuben topped pierogies as an appetizer to share. And then like looking at the rest of the menu, and I'm like, the appetizers are just so much fun. So I did an appetizer for dinner then too. I did a deep fried deviled eggs, which were as beautiful as they sound. It was wonderful. Washed it down with a local hard cider.
You're not helping me with the
beautiful
struggle.
experience.
And it's reminding me of
sorry,
something
dude.
I heard Bert Kreischer say. I think this was last year. He's gotten into really good shape again, but I heard him say on, I think it was either Two Bears, One Cave, his podcast with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Tom Segura. He was like, you know what? I think I've just resigned that this is the weight I am. I'm just going to be a bigger guy. And I'm just, with how good food is, I'm so close to just like, I've made such progress, but I'm just like, man, I just be a big guy for the rest of my life? And that's fine. Like, food is so good.
It is good. It's hard. Like so I got the salad at Primetti Brothers this time around. But a salad at Primetti Brothers is not a salad. So
that's like going to Amish country and your salad has more eggs, ham, and bacon than lettuce, and then just smothered in ranch. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. But we're here. We went through, oh my goodness. I don't want to depress everybody, but we went through Wheeling, West Virginia and drove through town to look for this candy store that Amy was familiar with. And I feel bad for that part of the country. They're just like their three main industries have just all gone away and there's nothing left. We went to a DeCarlo's Pizza, which there's one that used to be two, now down back to just one in the Columbus area, but it's from the Wheeling, West Virginia area of the country. And I had it before, but it was like Amy picked it up from Hilliard and drove it all the way across to the other side of Columbus to where we live. And the thing with the Carlos is that they bake the pizza without cheese, and then they throw cold provolone, really good provolone on top. And they say like you got to eat it right away to get the full effect. And so I hadn't done that yet. So we ate in DeCarlo's in Wheeling, West Virginia, and they're right. Like that is, if you're in this part of the world and that kind of pizza sounds weird to you, and it is, it's still worth trying. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that was all the rage in a Columbus Facebook pizza group a few years back. The hot debate around that. I've always wanted to try it though. I've never had it at all, let alone fresh. So it's gonna have to be added to my list of things I must try. So it's pretty unique. You were happy with, I mean, even the Hilliard to your place experience was still good, or
it was fine, but I do agree that like it's far better fresh. I generally think pizza is better fresh. Like I seek out places where I can sit and eat and order, and like I appreciate a good sit down pizza place. It breaks my heart that there's less and less of them around, but when you can find a local place that'll serve you at a table, that is typically what I'm looking for.
I kind of miss the pizza buffets too. The whole buffet thing has pretty much gone to the wayside. It was nice to try different stuff. And I will give a nod to West Virginia because they also created Pies and Pints. And if you've not had Pies and Pints, their specialty pizzas are excellent. It sounds weird to say. I wouldn't really go there for like a pepperoni pizza. It's fine. That's not why you go there, but their specialty
go somewhere else for that.
Yeah, their specialty pizzas are fantastic. If you want something, if you see one of those, but yeah, they started in West Virginia and they moved up.
Yeah.
They moved up into Ohio too. So DeCarlos and Pies and Pints.
You know what else is fantastic? This next podcast you're going to hear from. We'll be right back after we hear from them.
If you like fun, then you're going to love the Beard Owl Podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. And frankly, we talk more about Weird Al than anything because he's the gift that keeps on giving. So join us as we talk through Weird Al's career, what he means to us, and we have some very special guests on to discuss the magic that is Alfred Matthew Yankovic. Weird Al, part of the Odd Pods Media Network.
So Kendall, you're in Pittsburgh. How do you guys feel about it theoretically cities kind of unifying their color schemes like Pittsburgh has with sports? Like, so Pittsburgh's like city flag and charter and all that are pretty much like black, yellow, and blue. And like you've got the Penguins, you've got the Pirates, you've got the Steelers, you've got the Riverhounds, which is their soccer team. Pitt is gold, Pitt University is gold and blue. I feel like they've done a really good job at like, it would be so easy to wear, and obviously there's the song Black and Yellow. It would be so easy to just wear black and yellow all day in that city and literally rep any team you want. Do you think more cities should do that? Or does that just feel like a fun, unique thing to like Pittsburgh and maybe a couple other?
I'm all about. I've thought about that before. That is an excellent question. Because I agree. Like in my heart of hearts, I wish, like, I'm a Detroit fan, and I wish that Detroit would consolidate colors. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, it bugs me that they don't. The one thing, like the Detroit Red Wings are the only team that has red. Everyone else has a shade of blue. And if the Red Wings would just fix that, but then they wouldn't be the Red Wings anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I always felt like, you'd pretty much have to rely on like three colors. So let's take away black and white and silver because those could be used as accents. I feel like Columbus already has the scarlet and gray thing, but gray can be silver and can be neutral enough. And the Blue Jackets could be red and blue. I feel like Columbus could go with all red, blue, and really red, like red, white, and blue. They could really go with like the All-American, but like the scarlet shade, like the Buckeyes, but then the Blue Jackets shift to that scarlet and then keep the blue. You just have to talk the crew into changing out of yellow and black, and I don't see that ever happening.
yeah, I'm totally with you. I just realized as Corey was pulling up some pictures that the Pittsburgh Pirates mascot logo, the Jolly Roger logo, is oddly enough does not represent their colors, which is weird. Yeah, we got a souvenir cup today, and the souvenir cup is the Jolly Roger. I don't know if that's what I'm calling them. I don't know if that's what they call them here or not. But he's got a red bandana, and the cup itself was mostly red. And it was weird that I'm watching a Pittsburgh Pirates game and their souvenir cups are red. That was odd to me.
Speaking of the Pirates, if you're a designer, one of the fun things to do on social media is people who just for fun playfully redesign logos. This girl did some pretty cool stuff with the Pirates logo, and I know I'm sharing on YouTube, and I'll just kind of talk through it. She basically takes a pirate hook and merges it with a P and does a simplified P out of a pirate hook. Don't love the face of the pirate per se, but she takes the famous bridge, incorporates that into the bandana of the pirate, another famous bridge, incorporates that into the mustache of the pirate.
Yes.
And then this is what it would look like on different backgrounds and treatments. But I was like, pretty clever. I know some people love their tried and true classic mascots and logos, but as a logo designer, it's pretty fun to see what people come up with.
Yeah. I always feel like, especially when that comes out of like small communities and they're just up in arms, Ohio State was the highest revenue generating university in all of college sports, even beating out like Texas and Texas A&M and Alabama and Michigan and all of those. That doesn't equal being good at sports, but that's not the point for this argument. The point is Ohio State rebranded Brutus in like the last 10 or 15 years. If Ohio State can do that with their mascot and they're like generating the most revenue of people buying all kinds of merch and stuff, literally like anybody else can do that. They had like $300 million in revenue. Anybody can. If you're a little school of 3,000, 3,000 kids at a university, or you're a 400 person high school, you can redo your 60-year-old Falcon logo. Okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. Ohio State did it. You can do it.
Was the Brutus thing subtle though? Subtle enough that maybe it wasn't, no, because to be honest, I don't know what you're talking about.
They went from the classic charging Brutus I'll pull it up, but
okay, so you're talking like the actual like logo that would print on a t-shirt. I was thinking the mascot himself like had like a different look on his face or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, it went pretty kind of cartoony almost. Corey would be better at describing it, but like it was a noticeable redesign for Brutus.
So pulling it up now.
You're not on YouTube and you're listening. This is why you should follow us on YouTube.
So this is what they had. This is what they had for quite a while. And then they switched to this version where he's doing the running with the flag, standing straight. He's holding his finger up. Different ones, but yeah, this was the one that I grew up on.
Yeah, pretty noticeable. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they changed the uniform entirely. They changed the hat. They changed the face. It was the whole look really pretty drastically changed.
But anyway, thanks to making that core point, Dillon, because that'll really help my efforts when I'm going and talking to all these schools. I think it's more of a psychological thing. Like, it's not mine. That's not the one that I'm familiar with. And that's not the one. Somebody tattooed it on their calf. And so they don't want to change because it renders the one that they've got tattooed on their calf, the old one.
We call that.
Yeah. But listen, I mean, I think with all of those, there's always something cool about wearing the throwback logo.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't die.
Yep.
Yeah. In a way, it gets cooler.
Yeah.
I think it would still be cool if every now and then Ohio State took that popular one and just the one that we had previously, just barely updated it and then slap that on a shirt every now and then. Let Homage do it in partnership with somebody like the brand Homage. And it's fine. No one's going to be mad. They can still get the old logo. They can still sell merch. I just think some cities need to reconsider it. I think the coasts, the East and West Coast, feel too cool to try to unify their city colors, but that feels very pragmatic for the Midwest. So I'm telling all the Midwest cities they should try to get some more uniform sports teams colors because I think they would do it.
Speaking of college football, I saw, and I have not been following as closely as my dear brother, I saw gameplay footage of College Football 25 for the first time. It was about a 17-minute video of the Michigan player. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Donovan Edwards.
I knew his name. Playing against a famous. Is that guy that he was playing, Dillon? Does he review a lot of sports game, or does he review that game specifically? He seems to be a known gamer.
Yeah, they did a nice job they pulled a sort of NCAA content creator who's been around and like doing stuff with NCAA 14 for the last 10 years, instead of getting kind of an obnoxious YouTube personality type person, they got a really well-known kind of one of the fan favorites, maybe not the fan favorite, but one of the like cool kind of down-to-earth gamers that's been, supporting the community for a long time.
And I have to hear your thoughts on the gameplay. I have my own, but I feel like I have to give you the floor here. What were your thoughts on the gameplay video?
Admittedly, I had seen just enough gameplay from the trailers and stuff that I felt like I was buying the game no matter what. So that was never going to be a question. It could have looked terrible and I was going to buy it. But I had seen just enough gameplay to me that looked realistic and not overly exaggerated or too much like a Madden clone. I wasn't really worried about it. I was more excited for the Dynasty deep dive video because that's where this community lives. It's in Dynasty mode. Road to Glory, certainly. Ultimate Team, no, most people don't want to pay for Ultimate Team, which is like a big Madden and FIFA feature. This community is like Die Hard, Dynasty, and then pretty much Road to Glory. So the Dynasty deep dive for me was like the chef's kiss to like being excited about the new game. But the gameplay looked really good, man. Some of the I can't go into detail on all the new mechanics and stuff that you could do. You just got to go watch it if you're kind of if you're remotely considering the game, just freaking buy it and play it, because you haven't played anything like this. Nothing has been out like this in over a decade. But some of the catches, some of the interactions and the jukes, the spins, the all of it just looks so good. And it's very, if the biggest concern for the gaming community, sports gaming community, was, is this just going to be a Madden clone? The very, very clear answer is no. This is not just a Madden clone. This game was built with a lot of love from the ground up, and you can tell just by watching and all the features and whatever. I can't wait to get back into Dynasty mode and do some custom conferences, because you can control even more than you used to. Do you want to do an 8 or 9 game conference schedule? You can pick where you want to play. You can customize conferences up to 20 teams. You can even decide if there's divisions or not. So if you don't like divisions in your conference, get rid of divisions. And if you want to add them, you can. It's super exciting, and I can't wait to start playing that mode. So the gameplay trailer looked really good. It's about 20 minutes of a couple guys going head to head. I think Michigan is in each of the games that they play, and then you get to see some Texas and Penn State footage as well. And the general atmosphere looks awesome. I would say the only part that is kind of expected, the crowds and maybe the cheerleader graphics are certainly not as good as the players, but that's sort of like the ambient background, whatever is happening around you. I'm also really excited not only to play this in my theater room, but also to play it on the portal with some headphones, because sometimes headphones just give you the few extra little audio details you might not notice on a sound system. So I'm excited to be able to play mobile with headphones and on the TV to experience some of the different sights and sounds and things like that. So those are my thoughts. What did you think, having not really played a ton of the series even before?
I thought it was a really nice touch to have the developers from EA, or like I don't know if it was the creative director, explaining why they added certain features and certain gameplay mechanics. At first blush, I'm sure it'll play very intuitively, but it seems like there are a lot of layers to the gameplay, almost an intimidating degree. Like, wait, I got to be thinking about that. I'm sure you'd get used to it after just a few plays, a few games. But it seems like there are so many mechanics that there's a lot to consider. Like, if you're playing another player, you can fake them out and show a different formation, but actually have called a different formation. Like, you can sort of trick them. There's overlays to trick. I love the different, like, you can do a quick pitch, a strong pitch, or a fake pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little meter for the receiver, I found very interesting.
The receiver catching probability.
Yeah, the catching probability thing was fascinating. And then this whole idea of like power-ups. So they said they gave special power-ups to the top 100 college athletes. And those will have unique things, like if they're away and they're a quarterback and they have a lot of good focus, then the crowd at the away stadium will have less effect on them and things like that. Versus a quarterback who might be a rookie or something, when you pull up the routes for your receivers, they're going to be shaky because there's like he's getting swayed by, like, just a lot of layers of stuff baked into the game. And I was like, that's pretty clever. My criticism too was the crowd aesthetically. And then when they showed that snowy field, it just looked like a flat, snowy field with a few worn spots in the middle. I'm sure there's no way to do individual footprints, and I absolutely get it. But it looked like a pretty just like thrown together, 3/4 of the way snowy field. It looked kind of like meh. But everything else looks amazing. I'm definitely going to enjoy playing at your house. Because I don't have a PS5 yet.
You're referring to player abilities. So to clarify, all players have player abilities and different ones. There's a lot, but they hand selected the top 100, which to me, I think means they randomized all the players
Everybody else's.
except
Yeah.
they went through the top 100 rated players and handpicked the abilities for those players. Obviously, they know those are some of the people that fans are excited to play with. Maybe like the Donovan Edwards at Michigan, or the Texas quarterback, or the running back at Ohio State or whatever. So yeah, very exciting. The game comes out July 19th. I've already pre-ordered my digital copy.
Dude.
So we're so close. And yeah, the idea that you can like pick a blitz but show cover 4 and like just try to mess with people. That's the big thing, I think, because games can always feel intimidating. And like any other game, I fully expect there to be the traditional difficulty levels of like freshman, JV, varsity, and Heisman. So my guess is on the easiest level as people learn, you're not going to need to have to do any of that. You just pick a play, and more often than not, it's probably going to go fine for you. But I do think it'll be fun when you're going head to head and playing some of those people who are, the frequent Madden players, or who've been playing NCAA 14 this whole time, are going to probably be pretty well prepared for some of the new features and things. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Right around the corner. So excited for you. Looks beautiful. Kendall, sounds like you watched it too. Is it going to make you want to buy the PS5 in the game?
Probably not quite. That's not a knock on the game. I don't know that it's got to fit the family in a whole way. But that said, it is certainly, I've been out of the loop on sports games for many years now, and so this is coming from a place of ignorance. But that gameplay video that you shared, Corey, is definitely the best, most impressive thing I have seen in the sports video gaming world. I mean, I'm looking at one thing, talking about the crowd and the cheerleaders. It's a good thing that football players wear face masks on helmets, because the digital world still ain't getting face movement right. But other than that, like, I'm looking at one thing that I saw that just wowed me was watching a running back run and juke and cut, and watching the towel hanging from his pants. Like, its movements were spot on. Like that kind of detail.
Yeah.
Like, I'm noticing and thinking, wow, think of the time, think of the AI that's in here. Like, it's crazy nuts. And if I had a PS5, absolutely would buy it. If it was available on a Switch, it wouldn't be as good. So
yeah. And to be fair to the developers, in the worst stadiums, they've got to render thousands of fans. And in the biggest stadium, they have to have what's representative of 100,000 fans in the stadium, and dozens upon dozens on each sideline on top of the players on the field. So I'm really not overly picky in the sense that, yeah, you're not going to have, high graphic, people are so used to textures of maybe a single player game, or a game where you're following one character through a wilderness or something. You're not going to get that level of detail on 100,000 people in a stadium. It doesn't make sense to try to render all of that, even if it's in screen or not or whatever. So it's going to be, for me, it's going to be fine. Let me go in and build some custom conferences and rebuild a school, or build a school who's never been good, and let me do that, and I'll worry about what's happening on the field. Because to your point, Kendall, the level of detail in some of the plays and just the jerseys, injuries can be like body part specific. It's not just, this person's whole body is fatigued. It's like their right arm is more injured because they've been tackled from the right side 3 times.
Right.
It's crazy.
And a player has like a toughness stat that will determine how quickly or not an injury will get worse over the course of a game.
Yeah.
And then they said it'll recoup over plays, quarters, and then halftime will be your biggest chance to get those stats, those pips back to it. So I was like, man, they thought through everything. And to be clear on the crowd thing, I'm not at all saying they should go in and render uniquely every single individual thing. And they absolutely have to show the crowd. It's a part of the experience. It's just noticeable, is all I'm saying. It's just noticeable that they had to make those,
Well, and maybe that's the kind of thing where in 20 years they'll figure something crazy out that they can fix that, and then we'll be wowed by that.
Yeah. A lot of games now, or some of the best games now, the system is only rendering what's in visible sight. It's not rendering an entire world anymore. And so that's different. Also, speaking of crowds, the crowd levels are dynamic. Madden doesn't make them dynamic. You could have the worst team in the NFL with a full stadium, which is not realistic, because I think it was somebody like the Jaguars owner complained about it to EA one time and like, why is my stadium half empty on an old game? But in this, the crowd levels will change. So if you're not doing well, you will not have a full crowd. And as you do better, that crowd will grow and grow and grow over time. And they'll have the appropriate clothing for the weather as well in the crowd.
So crazy.
So for snow days, they're going to have hats and scarves and stuff. So it'll be fun. It'll add to a bit of that realism.
I love that they said that the away team's fight songs will still play. They just won't be as loud as the home team. Similarly, when the away team has a good, like a blowout play, the home crowd gets quieter. Like, it's just so fun. Speaking of sports, still watching F1. And it's so weird to say this, but it's been so fun. I had 3 or 4 races DVR'd. I was behind because of all the travel. And it's been so fun that my driver isn't winning every race. As weird as that is to say. Like it's competitive again. And Red Bull, their car isn't like the clearly faster car on the circuit. So that's been actually really fun to watch the last couple races. And I bring that up because another thing we shared, and this is a great time to go out to our Facebook group, which we sort of treat like a paywall, but it's free, obviously, to you. It's called From the Middle for the Middlers, and you can interact with us there. I shared a trailer of the new F1 movie featuring Brad Pitt. So for those that don't know, over the last season or so, fans have been noticing that there's an 11th team. There's an 11th team that like it's this car we've never seen before, and what's going on? And then over time, we slowly figured out, no, they're just shooting a movie, and there's film crews and actors pretending to drive this 11th team that is the subject of this movie, Formula One. So the trailer for that dropped. It's just a teaser. It's still going to be another year before it comes out. But I shared that on our page, and you can check out. So for F1 fans, the new Formula One Brad Pitt movie's coming out, and it looks pretty interesting. If you watched at all Drive to Survive on Netflix, there's sort of a fan favorite. Former team principal Gunther Steiner was the principal for the Haas team, and Gunther is like, he just swears up a storm, and he's really affable and goofy, and people just love him. He's no longer the team principal, but he made the trailer. And so people were like, there was a huge pop at the viewing party of this teaser trailer when Gunther made the trailer and said that he'll steal the show. So how much he's in it, we don't know, but it was kind of funny to see that. So Formula One's been interesting because my driver isn't winning all the time. Weird to say. What do you guys think?
Understandable.
Watched anything really good lately?
We watched an episode of Password, a game show on TV, Stay with the Family, which was fun. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but Jimmy Fallon and Johnny Knoxville were the 2 celebrities. It's kind of like Pyramid in that you have 2 celebrities that are each paired up with a common person, and they're just trying to guess a word. And so like Lydia was like covering up the word on the screen so that the family could play, so that we didn't know what the word was, and we would all just like cover our ears and they would say what the word was before the round started.
That's cute. I know a lot of those game shows are they brought a lot of those shows back, but that's an old game show, no?
I think so, yeah. I think that's a reboot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we enjoyed that. So
that's fun.
I can mention that. Watch Password with your family. Maybe
Wow,
put something up that'll like the Apple iPhone notch at the top of the screen. Create a notch with a book or something on the bottom of your TV screen and mute it at the right times so you can't hear the word when they say it. And then you can play Password with your family.
Hey, let's bring this one back real quick. Fact check from the middle. Fact check. The first episode of Password was October 2nd, 1961.
Wow.
Fun times. Anyway, so bringing it back. Love it.
What are we watching? So we're finally getting around to the most recent season of Only Murders in the Building. The first episode was a little slow and we had kind of stopped watching it. And so many people had talked about how good it was. We finally went back and we're probably a third of the way through that season. It got much better, much more quickly. We didn't watch far enough. That's been enjoyable. Getting excited to see how this first season of Acolyte ends. Seasons 1 through 4 were fine. I was entertained enough to keep watching. Episodes 5 and 6 were really good. And so I'm hoping that 7 and 8 finish strong. I can talk a little bit more about that when the series is over. And I'll tell you, one of the most intriguing things that I've watched recently was a trailer, not even a show or a movie. If you remember all the way back to WandaVision, the MCU show based around Wanda Maximoff and Vision, at the end of that show, spoiler alert for a 4-year-old series or 3-year-old series, at the end of that show, we find out that Kristen Hahn's character turns out to be a witch named Agatha Harkness. Well, she's getting a show that's coming out mid-September called Agatha All Along. And based on how WandaVision went, I was expecting a kind of a kind of hocus pocus kind of show, because Disney just rebooted that, and I thought it would be like Disney to sort of leverage some of the sets and props and things and maybe make kind of a feel good but kind of fun and maybe a little dark, series about Agatha Harkness, who is sort of sent away and lost her powers at the end of WandaVision. This trailer looks dark. Like, it is not what I was expecting, and there's some names in it. So if you don't even watch it with the kids, but go check out the Agatha All Along trailer. Holy cow. I don't know if it's going to be that dark the whole time, but this feels like maybe a little bit of dry humor, kind of a horror show. It looks wild. I was not expecting that from Marvel Television. So we'll see. We'll see if I don't know that means it's good, but the trailer was certainly good. And I'm not going to watch it at nighttime. I'm going to make sure I watch that in the middle of the day. So check out the Agatha All Along trailer that just dropped.
It wasn't until you just brought up WandaVision that I realized, or maybe it's a question, was what I thought WandaVision all along meant she's imagining this world. So it's her own little show of how she imagines things to be. It's therefore WandaVision.
Right.
I never took it as Wanda/Vision.
Well, it's both. It's a play on both.
Oh, double meaning. It just hit me.
And also, it wasn't real,
that.
but it was real. She's a witch who creates magic. So she put like a bubble around a city, and all of that's happening in the city. So like, it wasn't real, but it was.
Yeah, it was like, whatever.
And Agatha really did lose her power in the battle with Wanda at the end of that show.
Like WonkaVision, that's the word I was looking for. Like,
like television. No, well, it's both. It's a play on it. No. You're right. Yes, and
I feel like when Sherry figured out that Fred Astaire was not Fred Astaire, but was Fred Astaire. That's how I feel right now.
Well, to be fair, you were half right. It was WandaVision. You just didn't have the other piece yet.
Got it.
It's both.
Thanks for the latitude.
And wildly enough, there's a Star Wars trailer show coming this year that we haven't even seen a trailer for, which is Skeleton Crew featuring Jude Law. So I'm just waiting for a trailer for that because that's been pitched as Stranger Things in the Star Wars universe, where Jude Law's with this group of like orphan kids out in space on a ship. So don't know what that's going to be. No trailer for it yet. I don't know if it's going to be dark or maybe a little scary, kind of like Stranger Things, but that's how it's been pitched.
Okay, without giving away any spoilers, back to Acolyte because I have to still have to finish Ahsoka. Are there any characters that tie over to anything we know, or has this been purely? I'm sure there are themes like the Force and the dark side and the light side, but are there any characters that have been introduced that tie over?
No, I mean, we know Yoda is alive, but he's not been referenced. I don't have a problem saying that. He's not been referenced in the show or seen in the show. But he's alive. He's 900 years old in the original trilogy.
Okay.
So nope. I mean, there is the Republic. There's like the High Republic era. There's Jedi. There's the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. But that's really where it ends. And there's good and bad side. Cool. So it might and probably will allude to something that's known in sort of the TV movie world. It might allude to that at some point, but it's not yet.
All right. Well, Kendall has to explore his hotel and make sure there's no stray animals around and get to bed. It's a late one for us. We've been recording midday. You don't need to know that. And this is a late one. So we're going to leave you here. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We will be back next Wednesday. Episodes usually drop every Wednesday morning. I am struggling over here. Didn't have my Red Bull. But I just want to shout out Artius Man. Artius Man, thank you for the sponsorship. If you're new to the show and are wondering, what is Artius Man? Artius Man is a local company using all natural ingredients to make really, really good men's grooming stuff, especially for a man's beard. And so we highly recommend that you use that. It's got a bunch of really good essential oils in it. They make candles and have some cool swag as well. So go to artiusman.com. That's ARTIUSMAN.com and use promo code The Middle at checkout. That's all one word, all caps, The Middle as your promo code at checkout to get 25% off of your first order. All subsequent orders will be tacked to us, which helps us. It'll help you because you get great products, and it helps Artius Man, a local company our friend runs, and we would really appreciate it. So it's a win-win-win. Check them out. You'll get some amazing manly scented stuff for your beard and your skin and your hairs. Anything else from you guys before we say goodbye?
Was Drock at the Star Wars convention?
Draka was at the Star Wars convention, not the furry convention, Star Wars convention. Yep.
Star Wars. Yep.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.